Hello, everyone, and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Eric Ham, and we're live in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. And over the next few minutes, we'll take you from the United States and around the world, covering all the top stories of the day. But first, a look at the latest headlines. President Donald Trump plans to impose tariffs on Mexico and Canada starting February 1st. The White House has confirmed that the president is even considering fresh new tariffs on China as well. President Trump's health secretary picked Robert Kennedy Jr. to face his Senate hearing today. RFK Jr. is likely to be grilled on his controversial anti-vaccine stance. In Central Africa, thousands flee the fighting between the Congolese army and rebels and seek refuge in neighboring Rwanda. Secretary of State Marco Rubio speaks to Rwanda's president and demands a ceasefire. New Zealand is now requiring Israeli visitors to disclose details of their military service, including if they fought against Hamas and Hezbollah. At least one Israeli tourist was denied entry into New Zealand after disclosing his service. And Japan's health ministry says the country saw a record number of suicides among school-aged children last year. Officials cite several reasons for the suicides, including academic stress, bullying, and unhealthy relationships. We begin in the United States. On Tuesday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order aimed at stopping federal support for gender transitions for people under the age of 19. The order directs federally run insurance programs, including TRICARE for military families, Medicare, and Medicaid, to end funding gender-affirming care for minors. This means that any federally funded medicines or surgery that are needed for gender-affirming care are now only reserved for adults. However, the broader practice of gender care also includes counseling for people who identify as non-binary or transgender, which will now also be excluded from federal funding. The White House has clarified that the executive order is not a blanket pause on federal aid for Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act.
This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. And I want to make that very clear to any Americans who are watching at home who may be a little bit confused about some of the media reporting. This administration, if you are receiving individual assistance from the federal government, you will still continue to receive that.
Now, the executive order's language against gender-affirming care includes words like maiming, sterilization, and mutilation, and labels it, quote, junk science. The executive order also directs the Department of Justice to investigate states that protect access to gender care procedures.
It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs. It means no more funding for the Green New scam that has cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. It means no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. No more funding for Green New Deal social engineering policies. Again, people who are receiving individual assistance, you will continue to receive that. And President Trump is looking out for you by issuing this pause because he is being good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
Now, at least 26 states, most of which are run by Republicans, have already banned gender-affirming health care for transgender children and teenagers. And according to data released by a medical watchdog, around 5,000 minors underwent gender surgeries between 2019 and 2023. Democratic states like California, Oregon, and Washington reported the most cases of gender surgery for minors. And the executive order is the latest move by President Donald Trump to reverse the Biden administration's policies protecting rights for transgender people. Throughout his campaign, Trump promised to crack down on gender-affirming care, and the executive order is just the latest in President Trump's plans to roll back protections for the transgender community across the country. Now, of course, like many of these executive orders, the question now becomes, will it hold up to legal scrutiny if and when it's challenged in court? And staying in the United States, President Donald Trump has invited Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to visit the White House. Prime Minister Netanyahu is scheduled to meet the commander-in-chief on the 4th of February, making it the first visit by a foreign leader after President Trump's inauguration. And the invitation was sent from the Oval Office and has been accepted by the Israeli Prime Minister's team. The two leaders will review the ongoing ceasefire in Gaza and how Israel and the United States can ensure peace in the region. The ceasefire has entered its third week, and Hamas has agreed to release at least 25 hostages, including Americans, that are still being held captive in Gaza. Meanwhile, thousands of Palestinians are returning to their home in northern Gaza as Israeli forces withdraw from the Strip.
Still, we have a long, long way to go. The rehabilitation status is just started. And basically, we started a journey, a long journey. And she needs to listen to us, what we have done for her for 471 days, and we did a lot. And we have the time to listen to her because she was just reborn now, and we have a lifespan to listen to her and to her stories or whatever she's been through for so many days in Gaza.
I swear that when I arrived here, I did not realize it. I only knew my home from the transmission tower. I was lost. There were no landmarks left in the whole city. We came walking with suffering that only God knows. I came expecting to find here a room, anything to settle in. But as you can see, thank God, this is my house. 5 floors where 50 people live. Thank God.
Now, though Prime Minister Netanyahu will be the first foreign leader to visit the White House during President Trump's second term, it must be noted that the two leaders have had a rather difficult personal relationship, despite Israel being America's closest ally in the Middle East. The Israeli Prime Minister met President Trump at his Mar-a-Lago estate during the election, where the two pledged to work together to end the war.
Picture, photo of one of the toddlers that is now held hostage, still held hostage in Gaza, and his grandfather wanted me to give it to President Trump.
That's right. We'll get that taken care of.
Thank you.
However, just days before taking office, Donald Trump shared an inflammatory video where a professor was seen calling Netanyahu a, quote, deep, dark SOB, end quote, and a warmonger. Since then, the commander-in-chief has made a U-turn on his relations with Netanyahu and has lifted a Biden-era ban on supplying Israel with bunker-busting bombs. And from promising to negotiate a ceasefire and hostage release deal, President Trump said he's not confident the ceasefire will in fact hold.
How confident are you, Mr. President, that you can keep the ceasefire in Gaza and conclude the 3 phases of the deal?
I'm not confident. That's not our war, it's their war, but I'm not confident. But I think they're very weakened on the other side.
Do you support the 2 states?
Gaza, boy, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place it's really got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Do you plan to help in rebuilding Gaza?
I might.
Israeli media reports that along with Gaza, President Trump and Netanyahu will also discuss normalizing ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia as the threat from Iran continues to grow. And now turning to Europe, where tensions between Russia and Ukraine are once again heating up. In the latest, Russia's Vladimir Putin said his country could hold peace talks with Ukraine in the future. However, Putin ruled out speaking directly with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, calling him, quote, illegitimate. Speaking in an interview, Putin said Ukraine would have to find a legal way to hold peace talks with Russia. Putin added this is because Kyiv has not held any elections since Russia started the war almost 3 years ago.
It is possible to hold talks with anybody, but because of his illegitimacy, he is not in a position to sign anything. If he wants to take part in the talks, I will allocate people who will hold the talks. But essentially, if they want to proceed, there is a legal way to do it. Let the chairman of the Rada, Ukraine's parliament, handle it in accordance with the constitution. If there is a desire, we can resolve any legal issues. However, so far, we simply do not see such a desire.
Putin further claimed that the fighting between the two countries could end in just about 2 months or less if Ukraine's NATO allies cut their support to Kyiv.
Well, I think that Western sponsors, Ukraine cannot exist without them. They will not exist for a month if the money stops, and in a broad sense, the cartridges. That's it, everything will end in a month and a half or two.
Now, responding to Putin's claims, Ukrainian President Zelensky posted on social media platform X that the Russian leader was afraid of negotiations. President Zelensky also accused Putin of prolonging the war despite having a chance to achieve real peace.
Today, Putin once again confirmed that he is afraid of negotiations, afraid of strong leaders, and does everything possible to prolong the war. Every move he makes and all his cynical tricks are aimed at making the war endless. There is a chance to achieve a real peace, but it is Putin who is doing everything in his power to either continue large-scale killings or secure a pause in order to continue hybrid attacks while preparing for a new full-scale invasion.
Meanwhile, Kyiv has warned against its exclusion from any peace talks between Russia and the United States. In fact, President Zelensky says Putin is trying to manipulate President Donald Trump, who repeatedly promised to end the conflict once he assumed office on January 20th. Moreover, Putin's dismissal of talks with President Zelensky come after Ukraine launched over 100 drones in an overnight attack on Russian military assets and oil infrastructure. But as the conflict intensifies and nears its 3-year mark, the window for peace seems to be shrinking, with neither side willing to even sit at the negotiating table. And next we head into orbit, as an 8-day mission in space has now turned into nearly an 8-month ordeal for NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore. 237 days and counting, that's how long they've been in space. Sunita Williams says she's forgotten how to walk and what it even feels like to sit or even lie down. Earlier this month, the astronauts expressed their wish to return home soon. And now, President Donald Trump has tasked Elon Musk and SpaceX to bring back the stranded astronauts. Our next report has more.
And Sonny and I are honored to share this dream of spaceflight with each and every one of you. So with that, Elsie, let's get going. Now let's put some fire in this rocket and let's push it to the heavens.
This message is from June 5th, 2024. The last time Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore were on Earth. Before the liftoff, they called the 8-day space mission their dream space flight. And nearly 8 months later, all they can wish for is this dream to be over. And the man being touted as the one who can fulfill this wish is none other than Elon Musk. US President Donald Trump says he has tasked billionaire Elon Musk's SpaceX to bring back the stranded NASA astronauts from the International Space Station. Trump said the previous Joe Biden administration virtually abandoned Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore in space. The SpaceX CEO said it was terrible that the pair was left stranded and assured that he will bring them back. In June last year, the two were launched to the International Space Station on Boeing Starliner spacecraft. The flight was intended to last 8 to 10 days. 237 days later, Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore are still there. The Starliner they left on was not safe anymore to bring them back. Its propulsion system faced propellant leaks and pressurization problems. In September 2024, they were joined by NASA's Nick Hague and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov. Days, weeks, months passed. Their return just kept getting pushed further. They were scheduled to return in February as part of the SpaceX Crew 9 Dragon. But the replacement astronauts who were originally due to arrive earlier will now be launched on SpaceX Crew 10 in late March or April. Astronaut Sunita Williams says she's forgotten how to walk, how it felt like sitting, standing or lying down. Earlier this month, they expressed longing to go back home and be with their families.
It's just a great team, and no, it doesn't feel like we're a castaway. Eventually we want to go home because we left our families a little while ago, but we have a lot to do while we're up here. We've got to get all that stuff done before we go home.
Concerns regarding their deteriorating health have sparked debates. Images suggest a potential muscle loss for Williams, a known effect of microgravity. But NASA maintains its astronauts are in good health. Williams and Wilmore say they're keeping themselves busy as there's a lot to do in space. They've been carrying out scientific experiments and spacewalks while also tracking events back home.
Diwali is a time of joy as goodness in the world prevails.
The Hindu festival of Diwali passed. Americans voted in a presidential election that saw a historic comeback for Donald Trump. Christmas went by and so did New Year's. All they could do is send video messages. While the world may have settled into 2025, Sunita, Williams and Butch Wilmore are still stuck in space, without a sense of time, but counting every second until they get back home.
From the space station while we are docked to the space station.
And we end today's show with a follow-up from yesterday's story about Selena Gomez. A viral video of the singer and actor breaking down over Donald Trump's immigration policies has ignited a social media firestorm. Some fans rallied behind her while critics mocked her reaction. Things even escalated when social media users alleged that singer Lana Del Rey commented on Gomez's now deleted video telling her to go back to Mexico. But neither Gomez nor Del Rey addressed the comment, allowing the controversy to spread like wildfire. Our final report goes inside the controversy.
The entertainment industry has always been a battleground of opinions, rivalries, and unexpected controversies. But when politics enters the mix, things can spiral into full-fledged war. This time, it's a clash of the titans, Selena Gomez versus Lana Del Rey. The battlefield, social media. The weapon of choice, a viral video. And the casualties, truth, public perception, and maybe a few PR reps scrambling for damage control. It all began when Selena Gomez, who's known for her vocal stance on social issues, posted an emotional video on Instagram breaking down over US President Donald Trump's announcement of mass deportations of illegal immigrants. As expected, the internet did what it does best, reacted in extremes. Some supported her impassioned plea, others weren't as kind. But the real shocker came when a comment, allegedly from Lana Del Rey, surfaced online, telling Gomez to pack her bags and go back to Mexico. She allegedly ended her comment by writing that Gomez should consider taking her grandmother along with her as well. The internet exploded. Fans of both artists jumped into the fray, choosing sides and engaging in a full-scale online war. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, weighed in. He dismissed Gomez's concerns and doubled down on the administration's stance on deportations. Homan said, and I quote, "We're going to make our community safer. It's all for the good of this nation, and we're going to keep going. No apologies. We're moving forward." Homan insisted that ICE's efforts were not about attacking communities, but about enforcing immigration laws, particularly against those with criminal histories. Homan further claimed that the crackdown would reduce issues like drug trafficking, violent crime, and human trafficking. With the controversy spiraling out of control, both Selena Gomez and Lana Del Rey have opted for silence. No clarifications, no public denials, just a deafening lack of response. Some speculated that their PR teams had advised against engaging, while others believed the artists simply didn't care enough to address the fake feud. However, as the dust began to settle, a crucial detail emerged. Lana Del Rey never actually made that comment. The inflammatory post originated from a satirical social media account notorious for creating viral fake news. Despite the account clearly stating its satirical nature in its bio, the damage was done. Screenshots circulated, media outlets picked up the story, and fans reacted as if it were the gospel truth. This so-called feud between Selena Gomez and Lana Del Rey is just another example of how easily misinformation spreads in the digital age. It highlights how a single fabricated comment can ignite a wildfire of outrage, proving that the real war isn't between two artists, it's between truth and viral fiction. And in this war, it seems the internet always wins.
That's First Post America for this Wednesday. I'm Eric Ham signing off from our studios in Washington, D.C. Thanks everyone for tuning in.